Over the past year, Planned Parenthood underwent dozens of investigations after a right-wing organization accused them of selling fetal tissue for profit. Now, through those dozens of investigations, turns out that investigators found no wrongdoing whatsoever from Planned Parenthood. In fact, all they did was waste taxpayer money. Well, now that Trump is going to be president, members of Congress have decided that they will continue on with more investigations. So Republican Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn on Wednesday released over a dozen criminal regulatory referrals the informally named House Select Panel on Infant Lives has sent to federal, state, and local authorities during its more than year-long investigation. So they're claiming, like, I don't know, it looks like Planned Parenthood might have broken some HIPAA laws or something like that. Anyway, it's all BS. Again, dozens of investigations have already been done. They haven't found any wrongdoing whatsoever. Republicans have been clear about the fact that they want to get rid of Planned Parenthood. They want to defund it. They want to ensure that women don't have any reproductive choices in this country. And this is how they do it.
Of all the possible things that Republicans might do, stories that we've covered so far, this one actually scared me the most.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is their complete disregard for facts. And then I realized, oh my God, for 4 years, I know that we kind of knew this already, but they're actually going to do it. They have all the power. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have a president that'll let them do anything. And so they're going to say, yeah, I don't care what the evidence or the facts say. I want to get rid of Planned Parenthood. I'm going to make up charges. I'm going to make up evidence that doesn't exist. And the Democrats on the committee are like, but that's not true. Here's the evidence that says it's not true, right? And look, I'm not one to just blanket trust the Democrats. Ask them, they'll tell you, right? But in this case, they're absolutely right about the evidence. They're like, who cares? We're just going to lie, and we have the power. So we're going to try to destroy Planned Parenthood.
I don't know how people who pay attention to news, I get it how people who don't pay attention to news, which is most people, and many of them because they're busy, disinterested, cynical for 100,000 legitimate reasons, thinks that there's anything to any of this, except that they'll do it. You're 100% right. The House Select Panel on Infant Lives is made up. It's a fraud. Donald Trump is a fraud. These guys are frauds. These are reactionaries in Congress, and they're behaving as reactionaries. They're not conservatives. This is not a conservative issue. This is a reactionary issue, and they're going to go through with bogus investigations to find maybe somewhere, I am sure there is a Planned Parenthood clinic somewhere that violated a state, local, or federal law. Just like I am sure there is not
regulation.
Or regulation. There is not a hospital in the country that hasn't, if that's your goal, and that will be their goal. And then they will make it seem like that is rampant and widespread, and we should stop funding an organization that provides vital prenatal care to hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of women who can't afford it. And that's all it is.
If you're mad that federal funds go to Planned Parenthoods for abortions, I'd love to tell you that federal funds don't go to Planned Parenthood for abortion. It's illegal for them. Like that, the law says that it's not going toward abortions. It's going to cancer screenings. It's going to STD screenings. It's going to prenatal care. I'll tell you.
That's right. It's not just prenatal care in any way. You're right.
But your tax dollars are going to these stupid investigations. That's what should piss you off.
It makes me so angry, especially when you consider the fact that, yes, a lot of women from, disadvantaged backgrounds go to Planned Parenthood for preventative care. Like, that's the only place that they can afford, right? So, okay, Republicans want to do away with that because they refuse to acknowledge the Hyde Amendment, which you mentioned, which bans federal money or any taxpayer money going toward abortion. Abortion is only 3% of what Planned Parenthood does. They do a ton of other things that keep people, not just women, healthy. And then on top of all this, they want to just dismantle the Affordable Care Act. Okay, so what's your plan? So what do you do? What do you do to make America great again? What do you do to take care of Americans who keep paying the government taxpayer money for these bogus, ridiculous investigations? How are you going to keep them healthy? How are you going to keep them safe?
And that's why, when that story broke, that story was horse crap from the moment it broke. Of course it was, the body parts thing, right? Yeah. I mean, the way it was covered in any way. Yeah, it was inelegant talk from a dorky scientist who thought they were engaged with a serious person, who thought they were engaged with another dork, and I mean dork in the most respectful manner. God bless them. That's all that was. And it got turned into outrage. And from so many people who, you know what I was going to say, should know better, but it's been clear as I've watched them over this campaign, they don't know better. They were like, okay, I'm in favor of Planned Parenthood. But that was outrageous.
Yeah,
it's also strange to me. She says, speaking as a woman, I'm deeply troubled by what we have learned about the mistreatment of patients and a particularly difficult and vulnerable time in their lives. They're being treated with a disregard for their best interests and their rights as a patients. Their solution is to what? Make them look at the heartbeat of the fetus, to have a funeral for them, to cremate and bury the remains? Like, that's your solution? Like, all that treatment applies to how you characterize Planned Parenthood.
Their solution is to not give women who are desperate any options. Their solution is to punish them and to force them to do something that they don't want to do. Have the government tell the woman what she can and can't do with her own body, right? Which, of course, as we know from history, leads to women taking issues into their own hands and doing very risky things to abort the fetus themselves. So this woman has no compassion whatsoever for other women, okay? It's all BS.
So last two things is, if you're not sure that it's bogus, don't take our word for it, take Republicans' words for it. Republican attorney generals, et cetera, throughout the different states have investigated this and said there is no evidence of selling body parts. In fact, deeply Republican prosecutors in Texas not only did not charge Planned Parenthood, they said they did nothing wrong, they went and charged the people who made the tape.
The Center for Medical Progress.
That's right. And so Marsha Blackburn knows all that. Marsha Blackburn's lying about it on purpose that gets back to the two reasons why this story scared the hell out of me about what's going to happen in the next 4 years. They don't care about the truth, and they're going to take action. They've been dying to do all this stuff, and they're going to do it. It's not just tweets, and it's not just like, oh my God, he offended someone. They're going to do it, and then they might destroy Planned Parenthood. It's not like they haven't done it before. It was at a level you didn't see or experience. They destroyed Acorn. Acorn helped the poor, Acorn helped African Americans, and not just with voter registration, they helped them with legal help, medical help, etc. They don't have that help anymore because the Republicans and the horrific Democrats that helped them destroyed Acorn. Now Planned Parenthood is next on the chopping block. And they're going to keep on doing this, and they're going to devastate everyone who's trying to help the poor and the middle class in this country. The second reason is, if they are willing to ignore every fact given to them by fellow Republicans even, and do bogus investigations like this about Planned Parenthood, what won't they do bogus investigations about?
Yeah, we know. We saw what they'll do. They had 9 Benghazi investigations, right? There was nothing honest about any of them, and the reporting on it eventually, I get it, some reporters got it right, but the body of movement so far was that, Hillary's covering something up about Benghazi. And there would have been more Benghazi investigations if she won. No question.
If I wasn't clear enough, let me be clear. You think they're not going to investigate their political opponents?
Of course.
And you think they're not just going to make up evidence and say, oh, they're guilty? You don't get it, man. You don't get it. They have no bounds. They don't care about the law. They don't care about facts. They don't care about evidence. And all they care about is power. What do you think? But they won't investigate the one set of folks who stand in the way of their power? Political opponents? Get the full 2-hour show ad-free. Become a member, tytnetwork.com/join.